The Grand Chamber of the United Earth Council fell silent as Admiral James Walker stepped onto the central platform. The massive circular room, with its high crystal dome showing the stars above, held representatives from every nation on Earth. Hundreds of faces looked down at him from tiered seats, all waiting for the words that would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Walker straightened his blue uniform and looked at the digital display floating in the air before him. The numbers were clear. Earth's defensive grid was now at 100% operational capacity. After 3 years of round-the-clock work, they were finally ready. "Members of the Council," he began, his deep voice carrying across the chamber, "I stand before you today to confirm that Project Shield Wall is complete. Every orbital defense platform is online. Every quantum barrier generator is functioning at full power. Earth is now the most heavily defended planet in known space." A quiet murmur spread through the chamber. Walker waited for it to die down before continuing. 5 years ago, the Galactic Empire arrived in our solar system. They demanded our submission, our resources, and our loyalty. They thought we would bow down like thousands of other worlds before us. He paused, a small smile crossing his weathered face. They were wrong. The memories of that first battle were still fresh in everyone's minds. The Empire had sent what they considered a small force, just enough to frighten Earth into submission. Instead, their ships had encountered experimental human weapons that somehow bypassed their shields. The Empire had retreated, but everyone knew they would return. Today, Walker continued, we take an unprecedented step. By order of this Council, and with the full backing of Earth's combined military forces, we are formally declaring the entire Sol system off-limits to the Galactic Empire. No Imperial ships may enter our space. No Imperial citizens may approach our worlds. Earth and its colonies will stand independent and free. The chamber erupted in cheers. Walker raised his hand for silence. The Empire rules 10,000 worlds. They have fleets that span the stars. But they have never encountered anything like us. Our scientists have unlocked secrets they cannot understand. Our soldiers have developed tactics they cannot counter. And most importantly, our people have something they lost long ago: the will to stand up and say no to tyranny. On the massive screens behind him, images appeared showing Earth's new defenses. Sleek satellites bristling with weapons orbited silently. Massive stations powered by fusion reactors stood guard at strategic points throughout the solar system. But most impressive were the barely visible sheets of quantum energy that could be activated at a moment's notice, creating barriers that no known weapon could penetrate. "We are not seeking war," Walker emphasized, his tone growing serious. "We will defend ourselves with all necessary force, but we do not wish to destroy lives needlessly. Any Imperial ship that approaches our borders will first be warned. If they choose to retreat, they will be allowed to do so safely. If they choose to attack," he let the words hang in the air. The Council's president, an older woman named Mary Roberts, stood up. "Admiral Walker, you have the full support of this Council. Let the vote be recorded. Earth stands free and independent from this day forward." The vote was unanimous. As the results were displayed, Walker felt a weight lift from his shoulders. They had worked so hard for this moment, pushing human technology to its limits and beyond. The Empire had unknowingly done them a favor with that first attack. They had shown humanity exactly what they were up against, and humans had done what they did best: adapt, innovate, and overcome. As he left the chamber, Walker's communicator beeped. A message from the long-range scanning station on Mars. Imperial ships had been detected moving in their direction. Not a full invasion fleet, yet, but definitely more than a simple patrol. Walker smiled. Let them come. Earth was ready. The Empire was about to learn that some worlds were better left alone, and humanity would never kneel before a throne of stars. The real test was about to begin. The golden halls of Nova Prime's Imperial Palace gleamed under artificial suns. Emperor Marcus paced across the polished floor of his private council chamber, his dark robes swishing with each angry step. The holographic display in the center of the room showed Earth's declaration playing on repeat. "This is unacceptable," he shouted, his voice echoing off the high ceiling. "One tiny planet dares to ban us. The empire that has ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Around the circular table, 12 members of the High Council shifted uncomfortably in their seats. None wanted to be the first to speak, but Captain Lisa Stone knew someone had to say something. As the Empire's chief military analyst, it was her job to tell the truth, even when it hurt. "Your Majesty," she said, standing up, "I've analyzed the data from our latest scans of Earth's defenses. What we found is troubling." The Emperor stopped pacing and turned to face her. "Explain." Lisa touched a control panel, and new images appeared in the air. "These are Earth's defensive platforms. They're using technology we've never seen before. Our best scientists can't even explain how some of it works." She pointed to a particular reading. "Look at these energy signatures. They don't match anything in our database." "Impossible," said General Max Reed, another council member. "They were throwing rocks into space just 200 years ago. They can't possibly have technology we don't understand." Lisa played a recording from the Empire's first failed attack on Earth 5 years ago. The assembled council members watched as Earth's weapons somehow bypassed Imperial shields, disabled Imperial engines, and forced an Imperial retreat. "This wasn't luck," Lisa continued. "They've developed weapons that ignore our defenses completely. And now," she showed new scans of Earth's orbital grid. "They've built an entire defensive network using similar principles. Our standard tactics won't work against them." Emperor Marcus slammed his fist on the table. "We have 1,000,000 ships. We can overwhelm them with numbers." "Can we?" Lisa asked quietly. She brought up more data. "We've detected quantum energy fields around their solar system. Based on our analysis, these fields could theoretically stop our entire fleet. We don't know how to counter them because we don't understand how they work." The room fell silent. For the first time in living memory, the Empire faced an enemy with superior technology. It wasn't supposed to be possible. The Empire had always made sure to keep its subjects technologically dependent. "There's something else," Lisa added. "Other worlds are watching. 3 systems have already sent messages asking about Earth's defensive technology. If we attack Earth and fail again, it could encourage rebellion across the galaxy." Emperor Marcus sank into his throne-like chair. "Options," he demanded. General Reed spoke up first. "We send in probes, test their defenses, find a weakness." "Agreed," said another council member. "We can't risk a full attack until we know more." The Emperor nodded slowly. "Captain Stone, your analysis has been helpful. Prepare a probe fleet, but make it look like a diplomatic mission. We'll test their capabilities while pretending to negotiate." "Your Majesty," Lisa said carefully, "there's one more thing you should consider. When we first contacted Earth, we demanded their submission. We treated them like every other primitive world we've conquered. But they're clearly not primitive anymore. Perhaps we should consider actual diplomacy." The suggestion earned her angry looks from several council members, but the Emperor seemed to consider it. "Prepare the probe fleet," he said finally, "but include one real diplomat, just in case." As the council members filed out, Lisa lingered behind, studying the images of Earth's defenses. Something about them seemed familiar, like she'd seen similar technology somewhere before. But that was impossible. The only civilization that had ever matched the Empire's power had vanished thousands of years ago. Unless... Lisa quickly dismissed the thought. It was impossible. But as she left the council chamber, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were missing something important about Earth and its people. Something that might explain how one small planet had managed to do what no other world had done in 10,000 years: stand up to the Empire and survive. The probe fleet would launch tomorrow. Soon, they would have answers. Lisa just hoped they would be answers the Empire was prepared to hear. 5 years earlier, the morning started like any other day at Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station on the Moon. Tom Baker sat at his console, sipping coffee and watching the usual stream of data from the long-range sensors. That's when the alarms started blaring. "Sir," Tom called out to his supervisor, "multiple objects just appeared at the edge of our solar system. They're big, really big." Commander Mike Ross rushed to the station, his face growing pale as he looked at the readings. "Those are ships," he said quietly. "First contact. It's actually happening." Within hours, the news spread across Earth. Television stations showed the same images over and over. Massive silver ships, each one bigger than a city, moving slowly toward Earth. The United Earth Council called an emergency meeting, and military forces worldwide went on high alert. No one expected what happened next. The Imperial ships didn't wait for Earth to respond. They simply broadcast a message in all Earth languages. "Your world is now part of the Galactic Empire. Submit to Imperial rule immediately. Resistance will result in orbital bombardment. You have 1 hour to reply." In the council chamber, General Peter White slammed his fist on the table. "They're not even pretending to be friendly. This isn't first contact, it's an invasion." But Earth had a secret. For the past 50 years, scientists had been studying strange ruins found deep under the Pacific Ocean. The technology they discovered there was unlike anything humans had ever seen. They had managed to reverse engineer some of it, creating weapons and defenses that worked in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics. "Launch the Mark 7 satellites," ordered General White. "Power up the prototype shields. If they want to fight, we'll show them what humans can do." The Empire's ships moved closer, their weapons charged. They expected Earth to surrender like thousands of other worlds before them. Instead, they got a surprise. Earth's experimental satellites activated. Beams of strange blue energy shot out, passing right through the Imperial ship's shields like they weren't even there. Empire engines suddenly stopped working. Their weapons went dead. "Impossible," shouted the Imperial commander on the lead ship. "Their technology is primitive. How are they doing this?" The battle lasted less than 20 minutes. 3 Imperial ships were disabled, their crews forced to abandon ship. The others retreated in confusion, leaving their damaged vessels behind. In the following days, Earth's scientists studied the abandoned Imperial ships. What they found was interesting. The Empire's technology was advanced, but it all worked on the same basic principles. There was nothing like the quantum-based technology Earth had developed from the underwater ruins. "They've become stagnant," explained Dr. John Steele to the Council. "They'd been the strongest for so long, they stopped trying to develop new ideas. But we're different. We look at problems in new ways. We innovate. We adapt." The Council realized they had a chance that might never come again. Earth immediately began building defenses, knowing the Empire would return. Every nation contributed resources and scientists. Old rivalries were set aside in the face of this new threat. Back in the present, Tom Baker still worked at that same monitoring station on the moon. He kept the recording of that first battle, sometimes watching it during quiet shifts. The day when humanity proved it wasn't helpless. The day Earth showed the galaxy that humans weren't just another species to be conquered. His console beeped. More ships were coming, bigger this time. But Earth was ready. The defensive grid was complete. The quantum shields were ready. This time, the Empire would learn an even harder lesson. Tom smiled as he sent the alert. Let them come. Earth had spent 5 years preparing for this moment. The Empire thought that first battle was a fluke, a lucky accident. They were about to discover just how wrong they were. In his office on the moon base, Tom looked out at the Earth hanging in space, now surrounded by its network of advanced defenses. The blue planet had changed a lot in 5 years, but one thing remained the same. Humans would never bow to tyranny, no matter where it came from. The real war was about to begin. Dr. Robert Thompson wiped sweat from his forehead as he stared at the ancient symbols on the underwater cave wall. For 15 years, he had studied the mysterious ruins deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Today, something was different. Something had changed. Dr. Thompson, his assistant Mark called out, swimming quickly through the clear water of the research station. The new scans are complete. You need to see this. In the main research pod, a large screen showed detailed images of newly discovered ruins. The Empire's recent attacks had caused minor earthquakes, revealing even more ancient chambers. What they found there changed everything. Look at this, Mark said, pointing to a series of symbols. We always thought these were just decorations, but after comparing them to the Imperial language database we got from their abandoned ships. He pressed a button, and the symbols transformed into readable text. Robert's eyes widened. This can't be right, he whispered. These ruins, they're talking about humans, but not as primitive beings, as the builders. The text told an incredible story. Humans hadn't evolved only on Earth. They had once been a powerful spacefaring race, spreading across thousands of worlds. They had built amazing technologies, including the quantum science that Earth now used in its defenses. But what happened to them? Why did they disappear? Mark wondered aloud. More symbols provided the answer. A great war had happened long ago. The early empire had fought against humanity's ancient civilization. The war had been devastating. Rather than face total destruction, the ancient humans had hidden their remaining people on Earth, erasing their memories and letting them start over as a primitive species. The Empire. Robert said slowly, they must know this history. That's why they wanted to keep us under control. They were afraid we might rediscover our past. Robert immediately called an emergency meeting with the United Earth Council. In the Great Chamber, he presented his findings. The council members listened in shocked silence. The technology we found in these ruins, Robert explained, it wasn't random. It was left there on purpose, hidden where we would eventually find it. Our ancestors left us the tools we would need to defend ourselves when the Empire eventually found us again. Admiral Walker stood up. This explains why our weapons work so differently from Imperial technology. We're not just developing new science, we're rediscovering our own ancient knowledge. The council chamber erupted in excited discussion. This changed everything. Earth wasn't just a small planet standing up to a mighty empire. They were the last remnant of a civilization that had once matched the Empire's power. In her office at Imperial Intelligence, Captain Lisa Stone was looking at very similar information. She had finally figured out why Earth's technology seemed familiar. It matched ancient records of weapons used against the Empire thousands of years ago. We didn't just find Earth, she muttered to herself. We found the lost children of our oldest enemy. But Lisa had discovered something else, something she hadn't shared with the Emperor. The ancient war hadn't started because humans were aggressive. It started because the early Empire had tried to steal their technology. The Empire had been the invader then, just as they were now. Back on Earth, Robert stood in the underwater ruins, touching the ancient walls gently. We're not starting a new story, he said to Mark. We're finishing an old one. Our ancestors left us everything we needed, not for revenge, but to make sure we could stay free. The ruins held more secrets, he was sure, more ancient knowledge waiting to be rediscovered. Earth's quantum shields and advanced weapons were just the beginning. Above the research station, Earth's defense grid hummed quietly, protecting the planet with technology that was both new and incredibly old. Humanity had forgotten its past, but the knowledge had waited patiently in the deep, knowing that one day its children would return. The Empire thought they were dealing with upstart primitives. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous, a sleeping giant that was finally remembering its true strength. Admiral Thomas Reed stood on the bridge of the EDS, Earth Defense Ship, Guardian, watching the tactical display with calm eyes. The Imperial diplomatic fleet was approaching Earth's outer defense line. 8 large ships trying to look peaceful while hiding weapons behind diplomatic shields. They think we're fools, Thomas said quietly. Scan those ships again. Yes, sir, replied Jack, the sensor operator. I'm detecting hidden weapon systems, powered down but ready. They're also carrying twice the normal shield capacity for ships their size. Thomas smiled. The Empire was playing an old game, but Earth had changed the rules. He opened a channel to all Earth defense ships in the area. All ships, this is Admiral Reed. Remember the plan. No killing unless absolutely necessary. We're going to show them both our strength and our mercy. The Imperial ships moved closer, their formation perfect after thousands of years of practice. On their command ship, Admiral Max Rogers felt confident. Even if Earth had some strange weapons, 8 of the Empire's best ships could surely handle whatever these primitives threw at them. "Sir," his officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Earth ships." "Greetings, Imperial vessels," Thomas's voice came through clearly. "You are approaching restricted space. While we acknowledge your diplomatic status, we must ask you to hold position for inspection." Max laughed. Inspection. They dare to demand inspection of Imperial ships. He turned to his weapons officer. "Power up all systems. Let's show them what happens when you insult the Empire." The Imperial ships suddenly charged their weapons and shields. They expected Earth's forces to panic or retreat. Instead, Thomas Reed just shook his head. "They never learn," he said. "Activate Quantum Defense Grid. Execute Pattern Delta." What happened next would be talked about in Imperial academies for years to come. The space around the Imperial ships suddenly filled with strange, shimmering energy. Their weapons fired, and the beams simply vanished into the quantum field. "Impossible," Max shouted as his ship's systems started shutting down one by one. "How are they doing this?" The Earth ships moved with incredible precision. Beams of blue-white energy reached out, passing through the Imperial shields like they weren't even there. But instead of destroying the ships, the beams simply disabled their engines and weapons. "All Imperial vessels," Thomas broadcast, "your ships have been disabled. Your life support and artificial gravity remain functional. We will now demonstrate something your Empire seems to have forgotten: mercy." Earth shuttles moved in, attaching quantum power units to the Imperial ships. These would give them enough power to retreat safely once the demonstration was over. "You could have destroyed us," Max said quietly when Thomas contacted him directly. "Yes," Thomas agreed, "but that's not who we are. We don't want war, Admiral. We just want to be left alone. Return to your Empire. Tell them what you saw here today." In less than an hour, it was over. The Imperial ships, now powered by Earth's quantum units, turned and headed back toward Empire space. They had come to test Earth's defenses and had learned far more than they bargained for. On the Guardian's bridge, Jack turned to Admiral Reed. "Sir, why did we let them go?" "They'll just come back with a bigger fleet." Thomas smiled. "Look at these readings," he said, pointing to his screen. "While we were helping them, we installed quantum sensors all over their ships. Now we can track every Imperial fleet movement within 50 light years. Plus," his smile grew wider, "those quantum-powered units we gave them. They're giving the Empire's best scientists a very interesting puzzle to solve. We're teaching them." "In a way," Thomas replied. "Sometimes the best way to prevent a war is to show your enemy that they can become something better than what they are." As the Imperial ships disappeared into deep space, Thomas thought about the ancient ruins, about humanity's forgotten past. The Empire had become stagnant, stuck in old ways of thinking, but Earth remembered how to innovate, how to find new solutions. Maybe, just maybe, this show of strength through mercy would help the Empire remember too. Commander Anna White's small ship dropped out of quantum space near the edge of the Beta Centauri system. This was her 3rd secret meeting this month. As Earth's chief diplomat, she was building something the Empire had never expected: an alliance of free worlds. "Another ship approaching," reported her pilot, David. "It's using the quantum masking technology we provided. Imperial sensors won't detect it." The meeting took place on a small asteroid base, hidden from Imperial patrols. Representatives from 12 different worlds sat around a table made from rough-cut stone. Each of them had a reason to hate the Empire's rule. "The Empire takes 80% of our mining production," said the delegate from Proxima Beta, an older man named Ben. "Our people can barely survive on what's left. They force our children to serve in their fleet," added another representative, Ray from the Tau City colonies. "We never see half of them again." Anna stood up, activating a holographic display showing Earth's defensive technology. "We can help you break free," she said. "Earth isn't just fighting for itself. We're fighting for every world that wants independence." The delegates watched in amazement as she demonstrated the quantum shield technology. It was simpler than Imperial tech, easier to build with basic resources. Earth had already helped 3 systems install similar defenses. "But the Empire is so powerful," said Ray. "Even with these defenses, how can we win?" Anna smiled. "The Empire's power is based on fear and control. But look what happened when Earth stood up to them. They couldn't break our defenses. They couldn't stop our technology. And now," she pressed another button, showing the locations of dozens of other resistant worlds. "Now others are starting to believe they can fight back too." Suddenly, alarms blared. "Imperial patrol ships detected." David's voice came through the comm system. 3 heavy cruisers. But Anna didn't look worried. "Watch," she said calmly. The Imperial ships approached the asteroid field. They passed right over the hidden base and saw nothing. The quantum masking field worked perfectly, bending light and energy around them like they weren't even there. "The Empire's greatest weakness," Anna explained after the patrol passed, "is that they stopped learning. They think their technology is the best because they've never allowed anyone to develop alternatives. But Earth remembered something they forgot. There's always another way." One by one, the delegates agreed to join the new alliance. Earth would provide defensive technology and training. In return, each world would help others break free from Imperial control. Back on her ship, Anna received an urgent message from Earth. The news was better than she'd hoped. 15 more systems had contacted Earth asking for help. The revolution was spreading faster than anyone had expected. "The Empire's greatest fear is coming true," she told David as they prepared to jump home. "They're not just facing Earth anymore. They're facing every world they ever oppressed, every people they ever exploited. And now these worlds have hope." In his palace on Nova Prime, Emperor Marcus received the reports with growing alarm. Sector after sector reported strange energy readings, systems suddenly becoming difficult to monitor. The Empire's iron grip was slipping. "They're copying Earth's technology," Captain Lisa Stone explained, trying to hide her admiration. "But they're not just copying it. They're improving it, adapting it to their own needs. Earth isn't just giving them weapons, they're teaching them how to think differently." The Emperor slumped in his throne. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Empire faced not just a single rebellious world, but a growing revolution. And behind it all was Earth, the ancient enemy reborn, sharing its secrets with any world brave enough to stand up. On her ship, Anna watched the stars streak by in quantum space. Earth had awakened something that couldn't be stopped: the desire for freedom. The Empire had ruled through fear for millennia, but fear was no match for hope. The revolution had begun, and this time, the stars themselves would change. Admiral James Walker stood at the same podium where he had announced Earth's ban on the Empire 6 months ago. But today was different. Today, he wasn't just speaking to the United Earth Council. He was addressing representatives from over 50 freed worlds. "The Empire has requested peace talks," he announced, his voice echoing through the expanded chamber. "Not because they want to, but because they have no choice." The room erupted in cheers. On the massive screens behind him, footage showed the incredible changes of the past 6 months. Imperial fleets retreated from system after system, unable to fight against the spreading quantum technology. Earth's defense systems had been copied and improved by dozens of worlds. In orbit above Earth, the Empire's diplomatic ship waited. Inside, Captain Lisa Stone had been chosen as the Empire's chief negotiator. She had argued for this moment from the beginning. And finally, the Emperor had listened. "It's time," she said to her staff. "Let's go make history." The meeting took place in Earth's new space assembly, a massive station built with technology that combined Earth's quantum science with engineering ideas from 20 different worlds. As Lisa's shuttle approached, she saw ships from all the freed systems gathered around it, their designs as varied as their worlds of origin. Inside the grand meeting hall, Admiral Walker led the Earth delegation. Commander Anna White sat beside him, along with Dr. Robert Thompson, who had discovered humanity's ancient history. The Imperial delegation entered, led by Lisa Stone. "The Empire," Lisa began, "proposes a new arrangement. We recognize the independence of Earth and all its allied worlds. In return, we ask for peace and open trade." Walker smiled. "Captain Stone, we both know the Empire doesn't make offers like this unless it has no other choice." Lisa nodded. "True. Your quantum technology has spread too far. We can't fight it. But more than that," she activated a hologram showing the Empire's economic data. "The systems that have joined your alliance are already showing incredible progress. Their people are happier, more productive. Some of our own worlds are asking why they can't have the same freedom." "Then perhaps," Anna suggested, "it's time for the Empire to evolve." The negotiations lasted 3 days. When they finished, a new order had been created in the galaxy. The Empire would continue, but changed. Imperial worlds would have the right to choose their own paths. A new federation of free systems would exist alongside a reformed empire. 1 month later, Admiral Walker stood on the Space Assembly's observation deck, watching the ceremony below. The new Federation flag was being raised, a blue field with a spiral of stars, representing all the member worlds. Beside it, surprisingly, flew a new Imperial flag, its design changed to show partnership rather than dominance. "Did you ever think you'd see this day?" Dr. Thompson asked, joining him at the window. "When we found those ruins under the ocean," Walker replied, "I thought we were discovering weapons to fight the Empire. Instead, we found something much more powerful, the knowledge that we could choose a different path." Below them, ships from 100 worlds flew in formation. Imperial vessels now trained alongside Federation ships, learning the new quantum technologies. But more importantly, they were learning new ways of thinking, of solving problems, of working together. "Our ancestors," Dr. Thompson said, "they didn't just leave us technology. They left us hope. They knew that someday we would remember not just how to fight, but how to lead." The ceremony concluded with representatives from all worlds, including the reformed empire, signing the new Galactic Charter. It guaranteed freedom for any world that wanted it, while ensuring peace and cooperation among all species. Admiral Walker's communicator beeped, a message from the deep space sensors. Another group of worlds from the Empire's outer regions was requesting membership in the Federation. "It never ends, does it?" he said with a smile. "No," Dr. Thompson replied. "But that's the point, isn't it? Change, growth, evolution, that's what makes us human. And now we're teaching the rest of the galaxy to remember that too." Above them, Earth's quantum shield shimmered faintly in the sunlight, no longer just a barrier to keep others out, but a symbol of how one small world had changed the course of galactic history. The Empire had sought to rule the stars. Instead, they had learned to share them. A new age had begun,